How I mastered my sleep. So for most of my life, my sleep was always terrible. I used to always be tired and always stay up late, scrolling on social media. And the thing is, I didn't know how important sleep was for me. Everyone stays up late, everyone barely gets any sleep, so it's just normal, everyone does it, so it must be okay, right? But the thing is, the biggest lie we always hear, the biggest lie in the entire world is do what everyone else is doing. That is the biggest lie, because what everyone else is doing is wrong. And it made me depressed, and it made me hate my life, and it made you as well. That's why you're watching this video. It made you hate your life, doing what everyone else does. And one of the biggest things is sleep. Sleep is literally the foundation for every single thing in your life. It is the foundation for everything in your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, everything. Anyways, I got into self-improvement, and I'm happy to say that now, because of the things that I will tell you in this video, every single day I sleep at 10 p.m. I wake up at 6:30 a.m. every single day without fail for months now, and I just have perfect sleep, and my life is the best it has ever been, honestly, because I perfected my sleep. And the problem is, even like very rich people are glorified for getting very little sleep. I stayed up till 4 a.m. working on my business and making tons of money. But the thing is, literally everything that is good to humans comes from good sleep. And literally everything that is bad to humans comes from bad sleep. Sleep is the most important thing for us humans. And good sleep literally improves every area of your life. Your energy, your focus, you maximize muscle growth, your mood improves, your intelligence increases, you live longer, you even improve the genes for your children. So because you mastered your sleep, your children and your great-grandchildren will have better health and better minds and better lives because you improved your sleep. Sleep is the best recovery for your body and your mind. It makes you even significantly more attractive to women because you got good sleep. So sleep is literally the foundation for everything good in your life. And for us as young men on self-improvement, sleep is the foundation for success in every single area of your life. Everything good comes from good sleep. Okay? So here's how I mastered my sleep. Now the first thing and the most important thing for mastering your sleep is going to sleep and waking up at the same time every day. That is the most important thing. And this is honestly the single biggest reason why I always felt tired all the time, why I always felt fatigued and I couldn't even talk to anyone, and I was just tired in the gym and all the time. This is the single biggest reason, is my sleep wasn't consistent. Consistency is everything when it comes to sleep. You need to wake up and go to sleep at the same time every single day. The problem is, I would sleep and wake up at a totally different time than the day before it, So for example, the day before it, if I slept at 12, right, and woke up at 8, the next day I would sleep at 2 a.m. and then wake up at 12 or 1 even, right? And that is what destroyed everything for me. That is what destroyed my sleep completely. Consistency is the most important thing when it comes to sleep. Now the way to actually have consistent sleep, to actually go to sleep and wake up at the same time every single day, and honestly it's very, very simple and very easy, honestly. And this is honestly what worked for me personally, right? Is all I do is I set up 2 alarms, an alarm for the time I want to wake up and the time I want to go to sleep. For example, I go to sleep, I want to go to sleep at 10 and wake up at 6:30 every single day. So I set an alarm for the time I want to wake up, which is 6:30 a.m. in the morning, and I set another alarm at 10 p.m. And all I do is when the alarm rings, I just follow it. So when my bedtime comes, when my 10 p.m. alarm bedtime comes, I just dim the lights, you know, brush my teeth, get my clothes ready, and just go to sleep. And the thing is, you have to tell yourself, I have to tell myself all the time, no matter what, if the alarm rings, I have to do what is supposed to be done. No matter how I feel, no matter what it's supposed to do, even if I'm not even sleepy, I have to follow the alarm, because consistency is everything when it comes to sleep. So all I do for this step, for waking up and at the same time and sleeping at the same time every day, all I do is I just set up 2 alarms, alarm for waking up, alarm for going to bed, and follow it as best as I can. So the single most important thing when it comes to sleep is waking up and going to sleep at the same time every single day. The second most important thing is getting enough sleep. And this is the second thing. Now the thing is, I tried to wake up at literally every single time of the day. Honestly, like I tried to wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., you name it, I have done it. And I found that for me personally, right, the best time for me, the best amount of sleep I need, or time in bed as people call it, is 8.5 hours. That's the best time for me personally, right? I know it differs from person to person. Some people need way less sleep, some people need way more sleep, you know. Now, the amount of sleep that you need is directly correlated to your age. So basically how old you are, right? So for example, like kids, little kids, ages from like 6 to 13, they need the most sleep, because they need to develop the most, because they're little kids, right? They need 9 to 11 hours of sleep basically. So that's the most sleep you will ever need in your life, is when you're a little kid, when you're from 6 to 13 years old. For teenagers, for me, now I'm in this group from about like 14 to 17, and I'm 16, so I'm in this group. We need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. So teens need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Now, for me personally, what I found out is, if I get 8.5 hours of sleep, I'm very good. Like, I can function very good on that. Now, if I get 9 hours, I feel like perfect. Like, I feel like very, very recovered. All right, so it's just between those two. Now, some people may say, no, I need like 9.5 hours or even 10 hours of sleep as a teenager. Totally fine, that's perfectly normal. It really depends on you. So the range for teenagers from 14 to 17 is 8 hours to 10 hours of sleep. And I found, for me personally, 8.5 to 9 hours is about perfect for me, honestly. For adults, so people who are from 18 years old to 64, right, like very, very old, from 18 to 64, they need about 7 to 9 hours of sleep. This is like most people, like 80 or 70% of all people basically need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That's about perfect for 70% of people, for adults, right? This is like the Hamzas, the Alex Hormozis, the Imran Gadzis, you know, Jordan Peterson. All these guys get, all these people we look up to, honestly, they get like, you know, 7 to 9 hours of sleep. They can function perfectly on that. We as teens, me and you, we need like 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Now for elders, so like old people, like 65 plus years, they need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So basically, the younger you are, the more sleep you need, and the older you are, the less sleep you need. Because the younger you are, the more you need sleep, because you need to develop on it biologically, right? Because so kids need the most sleep, like so much sleep, like 9 to 11 hours of sleep. Little kids like from 16 to 13, and then teens need a little bit less, but also a lot of sleep, which is like 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And then adults need a little less sleep, so all adults need is like 7 to 9 hours, which is from like 18 to 64 years old. And then 65 plus, they need like 7 to 8 hours of sleep. They need the least amount of sleep because they developed, you know, they don't really need that much sleep. Okay, so this just comes from trial and error, right? So you can try on yourself, because this is also, a lot of it is very genetic and things like that. So you can just try how much sleep you need. For me personally, like I said, I need like 8.5 to 9 hours. That is perfect for me, but you can try how much sleep you need for you, basically. Thing is waking up and going to sleep at the same time. Second thing is getting enough sleep. The third thing is morning sunlight. And this I learned very, very late, right? I learned this very, very recently. Now, I used to be tired all the time, even though I was doing everything right. And this is actually like a few months ago, honestly. I was doing everything right, you know, going to sleep and going to bed at the same time, you know, I was getting roughly enough sleep, right? I was doing it all right, but I still felt tired. And it was because I missed one habit. There was one single habit that I didn't do. And it's getting morning sunlight. The first thing we need to do as humans, right, to function optimally, is right when we wake up, we get out to your balcony or somewhere you can see sunlight, and just get sunlight in your eyes. Now, of course, don't look at the sun, right? But just get sunlight in your eyes. Look at the sky. Look at the morning, right? If we think about like a long time ago, like 200,000, 300,000 years ago, when we were like Homo sapiens, right, in the evolutionary age, right? When we slept, we would wake up to the light of the sun. So our brain correlated that waking up is seeing the sun or seeing sunlight. And we always got that. Like 200,000 years ago, if we really think about this, we always had sunlight. We weren't in these like massive buildings like today. We weren't always locked in our rooms, and we didn't have all this artificial light, right? All we had was sunlight. Like today, bro, we don't have any of that. All we have is like artificial light. You know, we're locked in these apartments. We're always, you know, when you go to work, you have to get in your car. You have to get into if you're going to like school, you have to get into a building. When you go to like work, get into this like very compact building with no sunlight at all. It's all artificial light, and that is why we are the unhealthiest we have ever been, is because we don't get enough sunlight. We don't get enough sun. Now, I heard Andrew Huberman. If you don't know who Andrew Huberman is, he's like a very famous neuroscientist, but he's like a brilliant guy who talks about, you know, health and the brain and hormones and things like that. And he was talking about this getting morning sunlight right when you wake up. And I started doing this about like six months ago. Yeah, I started getting morning light for 6 months now, and honestly changed my life. It changed my life completely. I have better mood. I have more energy. I can focus better. You know, I feel healthier, and most importantly, is it makes it easier for me, way easier, to sleep at that day's night, if that makes sense. So if a day I wake up and the first thing I do is I get morning sunlight in the morning, that day when I go to sleep at night, my sleep will improve by like 20%, which is significant, right? Which is like very, very good. Like your quality of sleep increases by like 20%, which is amazing. When we get morning light in the morning, it optimizes our circadian rhythm. Basically, we have a clock in our bodies, in our minds. We have a clock, an internal clock that understands based on light and darkness when you want to wake up and when you want to go to sleep, if that makes sense. So the best thing you can do, and this is related to, you know, waking up and going to sleep at the same time, but the best thing you can do to optimize that, to optimize your circadian rhythm, your internal biological clock, is when you wake up, get tons and tons of light. You need tons and tons, so much sunlight. And when you go to sleep, make it dark, make it so dark. Your circadian rhythm or your biological clock to understand that, okay, now is day because I'm getting tons of sunlight, and now is night because there is no light at all. All right, going to sleep and waking up at the same time, getting enough sleep, morning sunlight. Fourth thing is self-improvement habits. Now for me, honestly, this improved my sleep the most out of anything. Honestly, like self-improvement habits. I remember before I started self-improvement, like 3 years ago, I used to never be able to sleep because I used to never do any self-improvement habits. In fact, I would do the bad habits. You know, I would always be on my phone, always getting all this blue light, watching social media for hours, you know, watching porn, fapping, right? Playing tons of video games, getting all this dopamine and stimulation. So of course, when it came time to go to bed, I would never be sleepy, and I would always stay up late and procrastinate and never want to sleep, right? But when I got into self-improvement and I started doing these self-improvement habits that I will tell you right now, my sleep just 100x. Like my sleep just became so much better. Like I had almost perfect sleep, honestly, just because I did these 5 habits. So these are the 5 habits that make sleep literally feel like heaven for me. These are the 5 pillars of self-improvement. So whenever you hear me say self-improvement, I'm talking about this, right? Meditation, journaling, deep work, working out and yoga, you know, exercising, and reading. So let's go over the 5. So meditation, of course, it improves your mood, it improves your sleep, it reduces stress. It's one of the best habits, all right? Meditation, it basically makes you way more calmer and relaxed, so it improves your sleep. Journaling is the best habit. If you're like me, if you like overthink and you stress all the time, it is the best habit for that. It's basically just listing out, you know, what you're worried about, what are your goals, what's your vision for the future, and that of course reduces your stress. You know, these meditation and journaling, what they do is they make your mind so relaxed that when you have to sleep, right, you just sleep like a baby, right? Because what I always used to do, because I didn't, you know, meditate or journal, is when it came time to sleep, I used to just keep thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. I was never able to sleep because I was just overthinking all the time. The third habit, which is work. If you like career content or you have a business or something like that, it really improves your sleep because it convinces you, I don't know how to say the word, convinces you or it shows you that you're living for a higher purpose. You're living for a purpose, right? And of course, the fourth thing, which is working out and doing yoga, exercises, improves your sleep significantly, and reading, especially before bed, really improves your sleep. The thing is, when I do these habits every day, I become so tired that I just want to sleep. I feel so sleepy. I really want to sleep. And the quality of my sleep, like just 100x's because of these 5 habits, because of meditation, journaling, working out, and reading. And actually, what I learned from Andrew Huberman is that these habits actually, they increase our adenosine and our melatonin. So basically, our adenosine is a hormone in your body which makes you feel sleepy, and it increases the more you are awake and the more you do these habits. Basically, these habits all increase adenosine. And melatonin is the hormone that basically tells your body that it's time to sleep, that signals to your entire body that it's time to actually go to sleep. Now, adenosine and melatonin, this is why I learned in the book Why We Sleep, actually, by Matthew Walker, amazing book. But adenosine and melatonin, these are like the sleep hormones. These are like the hormones that make you sleep. Adenosine makes you sleepy. Melatonin, it basically tells your body that it's time for sleep. And these 5 habits maximize both these hormones. These 5 core habits are honestly what improved my sleep the most out of anything. Meditation, journaling, working out, or yoga. And the 5th thing and the final thing is having a sleep routine. Now, I used to always have terrible sleep because what I would do was exactly this, right? When the time for sleep comes, when my bedtime came, right? All I did was I just closed the lights, closed my phone, and just got into bed. Now, what do you think would happen? Of course, I would just keep ruminating all the time, keep thinking all the time, because my body is not prepared. There is no melatonin to be activated. All I did was just close the light. Your body needs to be prepared to go to sleep. This is what I learned, actually, and this is so key, is having a sleep routine. Now what I do, and this significantly really improved the quality of my sleep, is I have a sleep routine, a routine to wind down. So what I do is 30 minutes before my bedtime, so my bedtime is 10 p.m. At 9:30, I have this like very small, what do they call it, like night light, and I close the light. All the light I have is from this night light, and I'm reading. So I read for 30 minutes, and then when the time for bed comes, I close my book, and I get the closes for the day after, right? So I get them ready, and I go brush my teeth, and then pray, and then go to bed. That significantly improved my sleep. And another thing I will add in this sleep routine is having a face mask. It's called an eye mask, right? An eye mask for sleep. And the last thing is I just keep the room very cold. So if it's like summer, I put the AC on at like very cold. And if it's winter, I just open the windows because it's already like very cold. Now every sleep routine is different, but there are 2 crucial things to your sleep routine. So your sleep routine, you make it, right? It doesn't have to be exactly like mine. This is just what I do, right? But there are just 2 crucial things for any sleep routine that I did that literally 10x'd my sleep. And they're very simple. All I do before every night is make sure your room is very cold and very dark. That's all you need for your night routine, basically. 30 minutes before going to bed, make sure your room is cold and very dark. So let's start with making your room cold. Like, why make my room cold? Again, because it increases, remember adenosine and melatonin, it increases the melatonin, which is the hormone that preps your body for sleep, that tells your body it's ready to go to sleep, it's time to go to sleep. When we are cold, it tells our body it's time to sleep. And this is actually an evolutionary biological instinct we have in our brains. If we imagine like 200,000 years ago, 300,000 years ago, we always used to sleep when it was very cold at night. So when it was night, we always felt sleepy, and our brain correlated being sleepy with being cold. That's why, when the teacher asks you, right, to come forward and sit in front of the AC, when the AC is like blasting on you, right, and it's shivering, it's very cold, but you actually feel like a bit sleepy. That's because the melatonin is increasing in your body, right? And the way I do this, the way I make my room cold, is 30 minutes before my bedtime alarm at 10 p.m. I just turn the AC on about like 22 or even 20. If it's summer, and if it's winter, I just open the windows. All right. So that's making your room cold. Why make your room dark? So that's the same exact thing. When it's dark, our melatonin increases, which signals to our body that it's time to sleep. And evolutionarily, we can also think of this evolutionarily. We always slept at night. We always slept when it was pitch black, like very dark. And the thing is, we always slept when it was very dark, not until like when Thomas Edison invented like the light bulb. You will read all this in the book Why We Sleep, by the way. But when they invented like the light bulb, and then artificial light was everywhere, now our sleep is way worse because there's artificial light everywhere. But no problem, we can still work around this problem by just dimming the lights as much as possible. You can keep just a little bit of light, just a little night light, 30 minutes before bed, for your melatonin to keep increasing and telling your body, hey, it's time to go to sleep. The way I do this, like I said, is I just wear a sleep mask or an eye mask, which makes it just pitch black. I can't see anything because the mask is covering my eyes, and it makes my sleep just 10 times better. Honestly, it makes my sleep way better. So let's go over how I mastered my sleep. Basically, waking up and going to sleep at the same time, getting enough sleep, getting morning sunlight, self-improvement habits, and having a sleep routine. Now, bonus, because you made it at the end of this video, and I'm so proud of you and so happy that you did, bonus tip for you is, these 5 things that we just listed, all these things can be done through one single thing, which is a routine. A routine is everything, really. Like, routine is everything in self-improvement. Because if you have a routine, like a routine is just, all you need is just getting a piece of paper and just writing, your entire day, your perfect day, right? You write it. So if you have a routine, you wake up, for example, at 6:30. 6:30 to 7, you get morning sunlight, for example. And then you meditate at 7, from 7 to 30. And then you journal from 7:30 to 8. And then you work for like 3 to 4 hours, right? And then you read, you do all the self-improvement habits that we said. And then at 9:30, right, you dim the lights, you make the room cold. And at 10 p.m. when your alarm rings, you go to sleep. You see how like a routine connects all these things. So a routine, basically having a self-improvement routine, which is basically just your perfect day, just written on a paper. I have tons of videos about routine. Makes your sleep perfect and optimal. just having a routine. All right, so this is how I mastered my sleep. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, we're in this together and we will make it.